appreciate very much your leadership. But we have a couple of prepared speakers, and then we will open it up for questions, and then anybody else who wants to speak should please feel free to do so. I would ask, there are some survivors who are here for the first time, and I would just ask that you all be sensitive and respect their privacy. Some may want to answer questions, some may not. Some may want to use their full name, some may not. Again, we would just ask you to be sensitive. And finally, we're a fairly diverse group, so we would ask that you please attribute the comments to the people who make them. In other words, not every lawmaker will agree with everything that the survivor says, and vice versa. I'd like to start just very quickly with a moment of silence. The name of our group is SNAP, the Survivors Network. And we chose the name deliberately because there are many who endure this kind of horrific challenge and don't survive. Many who end up taking people's lives. If you read the KBI report, it notes that at least 15 Kansas survivors of cold abuse have taken their lives. So if you would join us, please, in just a moment of silence on behalf of brothers and sisters who were abused and are no longer with us. Thank you. We'd also, of course, like to remind all the speakers to say and spell your name and your title, please. We're here for two simple reasons today: to help protect kids and help survivors heal. We have two topics. We talk about the recent Attorney General report and the statute of limitations measure. More people will talk about the statute of limitations. Let me just say, we in SNAP, on the basis of 30 plus years of experience, there is no single legislative remedy that is more effective in safeguarding children than reforming and repealing the statute of limitations. No single step can be taken by lawmakers that will more effectively warn parents and police and prosecutors about dangerous predators. So we're thrilled that this measure is moving forward in the Kansas legislature. We in SNAP very disappointed, to say the least, in the recent summary provided by the former Kansas Attorney General. We believe, quite frankly, that there are dozens of potentially dangerous child molesting clergy who the current Attorney General knows about and should share those names with the public. Parents can protect their children from threats if they know who poses a threat. And the Kansas Attorney General can help parents and help the public at large by doing what other attorneys general around the country have done and make public the names of the proven, admitted, and credibly accused child molesting clerics. We believe that's the absolute bare minimum. And towards that end, today we're publicly asking A.G. Kobach to voluntarily provide those names. And as a backup, we are submitting to him today a formal request under the Kansas Open Records Law to reveal that information. So I would like to now introduce Representative Underhill. Thanks. And of course, we'll take questions towards the end.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I'm Representative Jeff Underhill. And with me today are some survivors of sexual abuse who will offer some of their remarks here in a second. Their names are Kim Bergman, Whitney Pritchard, Aubrey Boozer, and Karen Humphrey. Also with us is a representative from Monson, Julie Donlin. and I'm glad to be joined here by my colleagues from the Senate, Senator Holscher and Senator Reddy. In 2019, House Bill 2306 was introduced to extend the statute of limitations for sexual assault victims. The committee sent the bill to the Judicial Council for further review and recommendations. We have received those recommendations, reworked the bill, and a new bill will be introduced in the House and the Senate next week. So now I'd like to go ahead and have the survivors come forward to give their remarks, and then, as David said, at the end we'll have some opportunities for questions. So we will start with Whitney Pritchard.
Hi, my name is Whitney Nigro Pritchard. All of our stories are important. All of them are different. All of them deserve justice. When I was about 20, I disclosed to my father that my brother sexually aggressed upon me when I was 11 until I was about 14. He's 3 years older than I am. My father's response was, "That's what brothers and sisters do." I was stunned into silence. With the exception of telling my then husband, a Leawood police officer, this crime did occur in Leawood. Being stunned into silence created the perfect scenario for shame. It's a perfect scenario that benefits all abusers. Shaming victims into silence well beyond the current statute of limitations. I'm from a prominent family of means. I held my secret out of shame, but also to protect them, never considering they had not then and never intended to protect me. The cost to them was too great. By the time I had enough therapy to realize that what happened to me was not only wrong, but was illegal, it was past the statute of limitations for me to get any justice. My mental and physical health have suffered greatly. My trauma affected my ability to parent my children in a healthy manner. Every aspect of my life has been affected by this childhood trauma. The current statute of limitations disallows me from holding my abusers and the people that enabled him criminally and civilly responsible. The system that was supposed to protect me as a child failed. The family system that was supposed to protect me failed. The current statute of limitations continues to ensure that I am not protected, but my abuser is. This needs to change. We deserve to be made whole in every way that the law allows. Changing the statute of limitations is the first step that gives us hope, that will create a supportive environment for more people like myself to come forward and to start to heal from their trauma too. Thank you.
It makes the person in need of My name is Taryn Humphrey. I'm a two-time Olympic silver medalist from the Kansas City area. I will soon be a Kansas resident, as well as my 2 young daughters. I was abused at the age of 15, and I'm 36 years old now. It took me over 20 years to come forward and talk about what happened, and I'm still not comfortable talking about it. So why didn't I come forward, and why is it so important now to come forward? Nobody wants to believe someone that is so trustworthy and capable of such horrific things. Children are worried that they won't be believed. What will people think about me? Will my future be in jeopardy? Maybe it's easier just not to say anything. Imagine the most terrible, embarrassing thing that's ever happened in your life. Would you want to share it? I tried years and years to forget what happened, to move forward, to survive, whatever you want to call it, but it's not that easy. Sure, I have good days, I have bad days. I didn't even want to believe myself. One day the nightmares just consume you until you can't eat, you can't sleep, and you can't live. It took me having children to truly understand that this is something I just can't move on from. I knew what I had to do in order to be a better mom. I owe it to my children to protect them if they're going to live in the state of Kansas. It's time to hold abusers accountable for their actions. So why is this bill so important? Our children deserve and are entitled to a healthy childhood. As adults, it's our duty to protect them. We cannot expect children to have a limitation on when they're ready to come forward for abuse. Why are we making it the victim's responsibility? It's our job, and it's your job as representatives to protect the children of Kansas. To the survivors that have bravely come forward, I'm proud of you. We're proud of you. I think it's important for people to understand that people heal trauma differently. When people say, oh, if it were to happen to me, I would have said something immediately, but children don't think that way. And these are children we're talking about. Children may take days, they may take years, and in some cases they may not even come forward. Either way, it's important to respect their decision. I'm an Olympian, I'm an NCAA champion, I'm an 11-time All-American, I'm a Hall of Famer, I'm a mom. I'm also a victim of sexual abuse. But I am no different from your children or your grandchildren. If this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. This is my message to the Kansas officials. We are resilient, we are strong, and unfortunately for you guys, we're not going away until you hear us. We will not stop until the right thing is done. We need Kansas to do better. Predators need to come and have consequences, and they simply do not have some after so many years. I will keep saying, Kansas, do better. The future deserves better, and shame on you for having unreasonable time limits. I'm Taryn, T-E-R-I-N. My last name is Humphrey, H-U-M-P-H-R-E-Y.
Next, we'll have some remarks from Julie Donlin with Moxa, and then we'll open it up for questions of David or us legislators, and then we'll have some comments, have the mic here for if somebody wants to make some additional comments.
Hi, I'm Julie Donlin with the Metropolitan Organization to Counter Sexual Assault. This legislation and this change in legislation is critical to supporting survivors and allowing them to have options in how they proceed in their healing. For far too many, they've held this secret into adulthood, and unfortunately, the obstacles for them to receive justice at this point are not available to them. We need this legislation to allow survivors to get the justice to support their healing. I think one of the important things to remember with this legislation is that what it's doing is providing them an opportunity for justice that was never received when they were children. We can't put a timeline on that, and we can't stick with arbitrary timelines when it comes to healing from sexual assault and abuse. We need to be able to hold offenders accountable and support those who've been impacted by sexual violence.
We're going to open it up for questions of the legislators, and then we'll open it up to the speak.
Hello everyone, my name is Mike Fulver. I was 11 years old seeking what little justice was possible. Archbishop Joseph Naumann and the Catholic Church spent large amounts of money to use the statute of limitations against me for an excruciating 3.5 years to deny me my day in court. And I would just like to point out that I am absolutely 100% certain that every citizen in the entire state of Kansas, if in my exact shoes, would be every bit as painfully desperate for their day in court as I am. That also includes all Kansas lawmakers and Archbishop Joseph Naumann. Please read my story at my website, IamNotCatholic.com. Thank you. My name is Mike Foreman, Foreman.
Now, does anybody have any questions?
So can you perhaps have a center culture
Yep.
talk to us about
You've been
I'm sorry.
requested already.
Can you give us the nut of the bill that you're going to that y'all are going to introduce?
Yeah, it is modeled on the bill, as Representative Underhill mentioned, was introduced initially 4 years ago. So it addresses civil cases. We have also added in criminal cases because as we looked even further at the statutes in Kansas and as more survivors came on board, we saw that there were more gaps as far as the statute of limitations, that in just depending upon the definition of the crime, it could be as narrow as 5 years. So, like I said, that as the scope widened as far as different people coming on board as survivors, we found more areas that need to be addressed. And it's important to keep in mind, when the KBI report came out a couple weeks ago, I think that really brought the situation to light. I think a lot of people just kind of dismissed cases of childhood sexual abuse, thinking it doesn't happen that often. But when people heard about the report, and that's just one piece of the pie, so to speak. I mean, we have survivors that are victims of coaches, Boy Scouts, family abuse. The clergy abuse is just one small piece of the pie. And like I said, there's so many other areas that are affected by this. So that's why the bill is so important. For all of the different survivors that are out there, and as it's been mentioned, it often takes years for someone to come forward. Average age of disclosure is 52. So it is pretty much unthinkable to expect a child to come forward within a 5 or 10-year time frame.
You want to change the statute of limitations to what?
We want to open the statute of limitations up on all of the crimes associated with childhood sexual abuse, and it's civil and criminal. Rape is already unlimited, but a lot of these other categories are not. Like I said, it
It
depends.
varies by crime, so there is no set time limit right now. What we're looking to do is just roll the clock back. Because Kansas has a statute of repose in the Constitution, both of our bills in the House and Senate are looking to roll the statute of limitations back to 1984. That's as far as we can go back at this point without trying to change the entire Constitution and that sort of thing. So it's not everything all at once, but it's definitely a good start.
Legislation's going to be introduced.
Next week.
Next week.
Trying to make sure everything's.
You have some kind of better assurance that it's going to be better this year.
I mean, I have a lot of friends on the other side of the aisle that are very supportive of the bill. The bill, when it was introduced initially 4 years ago, was moving in the House. We then needed to send it to the Judiciary Council to get some recommendations because of that statute of repose that the representative spoke about, because there's some tricky wording in our Constitution. So once we got that back, made a few adjustments to the bill, then COVID hit and everything slowed down. After that, then I was in the Senate and reintroduced the bill, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to move it through the Senate Judiciary Committee. I feel like there's more legs though now, honestly, and more attention. Again, that probably is the biggest benefit of the KBI report coming out, that it made people more aware of how widespread abuse is in our society. Again, not just within the church, but within pretty much anywhere where there are young, vulnerable children.
The KBI report that the Attorney General put out a couple of weeks ago was a fraction of the size that we've seen from other states. Missouri put out about a 700-page report. This is open to anyone, but what message does that send to survivors about how seriously Kansas takes these cases?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we have, I believe it's a 340-page report that hasn't been released, that has more details and more information. In other states where such an investigation has been done, the names of the victims are redacted to protect them, but the rest of the information is put out there. And it's important that we get that information because we don't know if there are predators volunteering in our libraries or our schools, or just got a different job in a different area. So as a parent, I mean, no matter what religion, I want to know if there are predators out there, and these are very credible accusations, obviously, that are in the report. So it's important to all of us that that information be released. So we had a changeover in the Attorney General's office. So, you know, we are just pleading the new office, new Attorney General, to release the information.
Senator, you mentioned a redacted version. Is that what you would welcome? And SNAP sounds like they just want the raw report with names.
Yeah, well, again, the redacted, in other states where the reports have been released, the victim names are redacted. Everything else is there.
Okay. Other states, they redact the victim names,
Right.
but not the...
Yeah, but not those that have been accused, credibly accused. I can tell.
Yeah, we don't know of an AG anywhere who has released victims' names, nor ever would. It's the names of the predators, especially those who are still alive. Frankly, we believe it's important that people know all of the names, living or dead, of the predators, because even if the predator is deceased, it absolutely helps victims heal and feel validated and vindicated and reassured to know that at least a tiny portion of the truth is being revealed. But it's especially important, as the senator said, there are, whether it's 2 or whether it's 52 of these predators are still teaching piano lessons in their home tonight, or volunteering as a coach at the local soccer club. If they're still alive, we at SNAP believe they're dangerous, and Kansas families need and deserve to know who they are.
Have they given any reason why?
Not that we've seen. In other states, attorneys general, for the most part, have released the names. Sure. In a number of states, attorneys general have provided those names. In the handful of states where they have not, they've gone to great pains to explain the legal restrictions that they have that prevent them. Because obviously every state constitution is different. But even in states where the predators are not named, oftentimes these investigative reports go into painstaking detail about how the crimes happened and how they were concealed. So even if not all of the names in Kansas can be made available for some legal reason, we believe some of them can, and that we believe that more information about the crimes and the cover-ups should be released as well.
This report was put out as one Attorney General was leaving office and another was coming in. Have you all had conversations yet with Attorney General Kavach?
I will mention that. I mean, it was. I'm gonna let the car pass that's enjoying a Friday afternoon. Yeah, I will mention that. Yes, the report was released after 5 o'clock on Friday, the last full day of former Attorney General Derek Schmidt's day of work on his last day. My understanding is it was up to his decision to release the full report or the summary. So that is what he released, was the summary after 5 on the last time.
I asked about this and I was told that the KBI is the organization that the question should go to after this investigation. This is the Attorney General decision.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in contact with the KBI, and I will tell you there are members of the KBI who want the full report released because it allows them to better do their job. And following up on leads that they have out there that's, related to other predators preying upon children. So, like I said, members of the KBI that I know want that full report. But no, it's my understanding it's up to the discretion of the Attorney General. And granted, the new Attorney General, as well as the new KBI Director, have only been in office a short time. There's a lot of activity going on, not just this situation, but we understand that it might take a couple days to get moved in and get acclimated, but this is an important issue. And again, the safety of children is at stake, so we do need that information. All right. I know some of you need to head on out. We have a couple other individuals who would be more than happy to talk with any reporters who can stay and do interviews. But thank you all for being here. For those of you who are new survivors for joining us, we welcome you to the group. If you're a new survivor that you want to talk to somebody, we are here for you. So reach out when it works for you.